I think I see Tad Boyle jumping on our post-game right now. So we've got him via Zoom from in Seattle. Buffs fall 84-80. Coach, tough one out there. Give us your thoughts on this one.
Oh, one of the most disappointing losses of my career. Our team practiced well. I can't fault their focus. I can't fault their preparation. I can't fault, they were not overlooking this game. They were ready before the game. But the bottom line is we couldn't stop them, Mark. I mean, it was just, in the second half, I mean, there was no answer. And, they were running weaves into a high ball screen. They were running a baseline, shooter along the baseline coming off screens. And we could not get stops. They shot 64% in the second half. We talked about, the 3-point shot at halftime. They had made 6 at half. We have to take those away from them. We have to make their shooters drivers and make them make tough twos in the lane. And we couldn't even do that. I mean, and, when you can't get stops, the bottom line is you score 80 points on the road, you're supposed to win the game. But if you can't guard, you better score 90. And we weren't good enough offensively to do that. Obviously we did not shoot the ball well from 3, 1 for 18, but we still shot 46% from the field. I mean, the offense was good enough to win, even though it wasn't, we didn't shoot the ball from 3 very well, but the 3-point line for them and our inability to get stops was, 64%. I mean, you're not going to beat anybody playing that way. And we knew Washington was better. They scored 76 points against UCLA, who's arguably the best defensive team in our league. They scored 76 points. So they've gotten better. They've got good offensive players. We talked about that in the pregame. I knew that coming in. We knew that coming in. And we just weren't able to stop them tonight.
Tad, it's a funny thing. You mentioned we talked about that quite a bit about, the talent they had. And when you're in a ball game like this, and you allow a team to start feeling good early, it kind of builds upon itself, and then it really becomes you get back in your heels, don't you?
We talked about that at the second media timeout in the first half. I said, guys, you let this team hang around, they're going to gain confidence, they're going to gain, mojo and juice, and they're going to start believing. If you shut their water off now, they're going to go away. And they I don't know if they're down 15, if they can come back. I don't know. I mean, but we just were in trading baskets mode. And when you get in trading baskets mode, you're susceptible to the last, 2 or 3 minutes of the game, which, they were better than us, getting to the free throw line, making shots, making threes, and we weren't. And we had some good looks there, in the second half.
Yes.
I thought, but again, you have to prepare yourself for the nights when you don't shoot the ball well, when you go 1 for 18 from 3. And what's frustrating, Mark, is we still scored 80 points going 1 for 18 from 3. So, the offense was not the issue. Even though it wasn't great, it wasn't the issue. The issue was on the other end of the floor, which is something we hang our hat on. But, man, there was no hook tonight. Somebody came and pulled the chair out from under us because we were not good enough defensively. And you have to credit Washington. I talked about this in the pregame. I said this in the pregame. Washington is going to beat somebody. Yeah. And I was hopeful it wasn't going to be us, but it was us tonight. And we've got nobody to blame but ourselves. I take responsibility. And our players have to really look within themselves from a defensive standpoint and say, am I good enough at this level to stop somebody? And the answer tonight was absolutely not even close.
Danny, it's one thing on the offensive end when the ball's not going in. There are ways to explain that. I'm wondering, on a night like this, for a team that has played relatively well defensively, when the defense isn't there, what does it boil down to? Does it boil what's going on between the ears, effort, hustle? What do you pin it on?
I pin it on, not executing the game plan, not the ball screen defense. In the first half, we gave them 2 wide open threes based on helping off the wrong guy. One of them was OB under, where we're trying to go under a screen, and there's 6 feet available to get through the screen and be there on the catch. And we try to go under, and the guy hits a 3. And then they run a roll replace play where they roll a guy to the rim and bring a shooter behind. The guy who's guarding the shooter behind is not supposed to help on that. It's the man in the corner. our man helped, and they hit a wide open three. So that's 6 points right there that we gifted Washington based on our inability to execute just fundamental ball screen defense or getting through screen defense. And in the second half, we're guarding guys who have hit multiple threes with our hands down and not a hand up to discourage the shot or to play the shot if he shoots it. And where hands are down and they shoot it in our face, and we look to the bench like, what did I do wrong? Well, we didn't have a hand up, and the guy you're guarding, you're supposed to make a drive, make him a driver, not a shooter. So those are the things. Again, we gave 2 threes in the first half to them, gifts. 2 threes in the second half that were gifts. That's 12 points.
Right.
And that's the difference in a ball game like this. And you hope that at some point you can string together some stops. Didn't do it. We had 2 kills in the first half. We were up 10. We talked about it with 2 minutes to go in the first half. We can get a kill here. We can go in up 14 or 16 at half. Didn't do it. It came in up 4 at half.
Yep.
Never got a kill in the second half. I mean, shooting 64%. I mean, they score on 10 consecutive possessions between the end of the first half, beginning of the second half. 10 straight possessions they scored. I mean, that's holy cow. I mean,
makes it nearly impossible for you.
Yeah, you're not going to beat anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the bottom line. I mean, you can't, and it's not going to be any easier on Saturday against Washington State.
Right.
So, that maybe in the long run, this is good for our guys. Maybe it'll be a wake-up call and say, okay, we're not quite as good as maybe everybody's telling us we are. I still think we have a together group. We have a tight-knit group. We've got I love this team, but we weren't good enough tonight.
All right, Ted, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll continue with questions from the media. Pat Rooney, you can go ahead and start.
Coach, I know the defensive effort was frustrating, but offensively, despite the 3-point shooting, you guys were pretty efficient in the paint, getting the ball inside. Did you get away from that a little too much in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the Jariah and Evan are, 16 for 26. Those are our 2 inside guys. Now, Jariah, some of those were jump shots and drives to the basket. Evans were, usually in the paint. But, we did not, get the ball inside as much in the second half as maybe we should have. And we tried to call some plays there, down the stretch to get Evan touches. And for the most part, we did a good job offensively. But again, we always want to play inside out, Pat, which means we want paint touches. It might be a drive or it might be a post up. And then the threes will come as a result of that. And we weren't able to knock down open threes when we had them. We took a couple tough ones, but for the most part, I thought the threes we took were good looks. They just didn't go down tonight. And yet that's when you have to rely on getting to the free throw line, which we did. Getting the ball inside, which we did, and just didn't do it quite enough. You still scored 80 points in the road. Good enough to win.
Jake, go ahead.
Hey, Tad, is this, and we've talked about this over the years, is this one of those losses where it's just a clunker and you guys try to write it off, tomorrow, turn the page, or do you keep coming back to this and try and learn some things as you go into the season?
Jake, I am not a burn the tape guy. Absolutely not. I'm not a burn the tape coach. Some guys are. Some guys say burn the tape. Let's move on. No. Let's learn from this. Let's understand why, and let's see why. And not beating them over the head with it, but let's look. It's this one stings. Sting even a little bit more tomorrow morning when we wake up. I promise you. And but we got to learn from it. Move on. Just like you try to learn from your wins. And this is a great lesson for our young players. It should be our older players should know better, and they do, but couldn't get it done tonight. Okay, we kept talking about it, but at some point you got to stop talking about it. You got to go do it.
Okay, Justin.
Coach, just down the stretch in the second half, especially in the last 3 or 4 minutes, the critical part of the game, as you alluded to in your opening statement, when both teams are kind of just exchanging baskets in the offensive zones. It seemed like with you guys that there was just a couple cases of stone hands, just passes going right through guys' hands, turning into turnovers. Just Ill-timed mistakes, nothing more than that, or maybe a couple
Yeah,
guys getting
no, yeah, those are physical things, look, driving and, I think sometimes our guys are thinking pass before they catch. And so we got to slow down. But yeah, we had some ill-timed turnovers. Deshaun had a really good drive to the basket and, Evan didn't catch it. And I don't know if it was a design pass, but it was, it was right there. We mishandled it. Eli mishandled a couple, and Eli going down, with his eye injury hurt us without a doubt, because Eli's one guy that can really guard and maybe could have helped us string together some stops. But so that hurt, but we got guys that are capable they just didn't get it done tonight. And look, still have some guys. Sometimes you get guys that are good offensive players like we have, and they identify their self-worth and their worth to the team by how much they're shooting or how well they're shooting and how much they're scoring. And they don't take as much pride as they should on the defensive end. And we still got a couple guys like that we got to get fixed.
Pat Rooney?
Hey, Tad, I know the result's disappointing, but what did it mean for the team to kind of get Dallas Walton back in there? And obviously it'll be maybe a few games till he gets back to the form we saw before his injury.
Yeah, I thought Dallas was great tonight, the minutes he played. I think he was terrific. He had a tough, shot there at the end that got blocked. But, Dallas is good offensive player for us. And, tonight's a game that, I thought his matchups were good. Jeriah Horn shoots, scores 24 points and gets 6 rebounds. I mean, it's one of those situations where we felt like we had to have Jeriah in on offense, but it would have been nice to have Dallas in on defense. But that's if you have trade-offs like that, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. So, but it's great to have Dallas back, to answer your question.
We're going to have time for one more. We'll go Neil Welk.
Hey, Tad, had Sahonis shown anything like he showed tonight in the tape you'd seen of him coming into this game?
Yeah, we saw Tashonis last year. We saw him against UCLA. We knew he's a good player. He's a scorer. He's a rhythm guy who's got a low release in his jump shot. He's one of the guys I'm talking about that, we let get loose by getting through screens on him, having a low hand when he's got a low release. He's going to shoot it right in your eye, and he's a guy that when he gets it going is really tough to stop. And we saw that tonight. But the whole key with a guy like him is you don't let him get going. And once he does, he's a handful because he can score the ball. And we weren't able to stop him tonight. That's for sure. The kid has, 27 points off the bench on 13 shots. Pretty efficient. So really disappointing.